of these sessions. Our first session is the Graduate Programs in Research Administration, and we have Dr. Angela White-Jones as our speaker for that session. Dr. White-Jones is currently the director of the Master in Research Administration program here at the University of Central Florida and a faculty member in the School of Public Administration at UCF, teaching in nonprofit management and research administration graduate programs. She teaches courses specifically related to grant and contract management, program evaluation for public programs, strategic planning and management, and leadership and organizational models in research administration. Professionally, Dr. White-Jones has written and been awarded over $30 million in grants and contract funding in her career, including solo and team participation on proposal teams for awards from Florida Housing and Finance Corporation, Housing and Urban Development Community Block Grant, and Agency for Persons with Disability, as well as various foundations and corporations funding mechanisms. She is a current board member of Junior League of Greater Orlando, current online contributing editor, Grants and Contracts section for the National Council of University Research Administrators, and a 2020 author fellow for the Society of Research Administrators International. So with that, I turn it over to Angela White-Jones. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer, for that warm biographical reading and introduction. That's great. And I thank all of you for having me here this morning to speak with you for the professional development section of FRAC 2021. It's always a good opportunity to come here. I look forward to meeting here for FRAC every year, and I'm especially happy that we were able to get together virtually and just have all of this wonderful programming. So thank you again. So this morning I'm going to talk to all of you about graduate programs in research administration. And as Jennifer said, I am with the University of Central Florida. So a little bit of it later on in the program, we'll talk about UCF's graduate programs in research administration, but I'm going to start a bit more general, if I may. And the first topic or first area is why even explore graduate education. So I tend to like cartoons or little sayings when I present different topics. So you see to the left a cartoon about someone who has an NIH grant and basically saying you're completely free to carry out whatever research you want as long as you come to these conclusions. So a lot of times people feel as though that is the whole of a graduate education in research administration as well as other areas. But there are several reasons why graduate education is so impactful, particularly within the research administration field. And so those topics include building deeper knowledge of current topics, exploring other areas of research administration, connecting theory and practice, building confidence among our early career professionals, developing and strengthening leaders in our field, and of course, promotion opportunities, salary opportunities, and other external opportunities. So I'll talk a little bit about each of these areas. So to build a deeper knowledge of current topics, we know that research administrators represent our institutions in a number of ways and in very different ways as well. We have to be well-versed on a number of topics and policies as we continue to navigate what is becoming more of a broad paradigm of research. So those topics may include research development, grants and contracts administration, regulatory compliance, institutional policies and procedures, commercialization, economic development, and there's a large swath of other topics that are not even listed here that all of us as research administrators, no matter what sub area or subfield we find ourselves in, we have to know and understand more. So graduate education allows us to really get deeper into that knowledge base and those current topics that we may specialize in or desire to specialize in, really be able to get more into the weeds. And it's important because oftentimes, in my experience, I will say that I could be working on a particular proposal or a particular project, and then something else comes up, and I may want to read more about the policy or even just the historical nature of the policy for my own information or for my own knowledge. And I can't necessarily get to it right away because there's another fire that has to be put out, or there's another issue that I have to take care of. So with graduate education, it allows you to take these particular topics or a topic that is similar, that is of your choice, and really dig into those weeds and that information and really discover historical precedents. Why was this developed? Why was this connected? And find that way to broaden the particular knowledge base that you have. When we look at exploring different areas of research administration, there's a number of new areas and hot topics or new topics that are coming up. I feel like every 6 months, it might feel like every 6 weeks now, as research continues to get larger, as we become more interconnected, not just here in the United States, but all over the world, there's going to be a number of different explorations and different areas in our field that we have to understand and that we're learning about. And so graduate education also enables us to investigate new areas in the field, including things like technology and e-security. I know that's a big topic, especially now that we're all online and that we're conducting a lot of business and transactions of different contracts, grant reports, compliance measurements, and other mechanisms of online. Technology and e-security is increasingly crucial to understand the role that plays at our institutions and the role that plays for not only researchers themselves, but research administrators. There's also a topic of international relationships and collaboration. As I stated, because research is getting to be extraordinarily broad and that it is involving other institutions and other individuals from all over the globe, it's important to understand and really discover how collaboration or relationships are developed between different parties, different countries as well. Team diversity and inclusionary practices. I think this was certainly a topic that has been talked about, that I have been reading about in a lot of the literature, a lot of magazines related to research administrators. People have written on this topic, and they're talking about diversity and equity and inclusionary practices, even in our own space as well. And so because that is a topic that is being critically highlighted, the graduate education gives us an opportunity to explore how this relates to us as research administrators. And then lastly, foreign interference in research. Again, this is related to international relationships and collaboration. And I think that this is another topic that is being talked about a lot often, especially how we can protect ourselves against any interference and any unethical practices within research, and how research administrators are also handling that. So those are just 4 topics that I have named that are new or are approaching a lot of exploration and discovery. A lot of people are talking about it and how we as research administrators are connecting to that in our daily tasks and in our short and long-term goal setting. And with these topics and with graduate education and research administration, it allows us to go, again, deeper into these topics. It allows us to discuss and have these discussions a little bit more in depth than maybe we normally would if we were taking one particular session, or if we were having a conversation, or if we were reading an article or two. We can take all of the information that we are receiving externally as well as internally, and we can really hone into that topic and discover best practices and other ways that we can perhaps write about it or investigate more to make these issues even more impactful for other research administrators. And speaking of the connection, the third area would be the connection between theory and practice. So personally, as a research administrator, as well as an academic, I believe in the connection between theoretical exploration and practice. And I feel like in graduate education, there is so much more opportunity and so much more fruit when you can understand not just what is in a book or what is in a magazine, but you can take that, you can synthesize it, you can break it apart, and you can apply these details to practice. You can actually gather and create a strategy for how you can utilize that in our daily work. I think oftentimes with graduate education, sometimes the fear is that, well, I'm going to get into these books and the weeds of this. I'm going to do a lot of reading, but none of this is really going to apply to what I do every day. It's not really going to be salient. And I think that is where graduate education in research administration is very unique, especially related to some of our other counterparts in other fields, is that because we are such a practice-oriented field and we learn by doing, we learn by trial and effort, because that occurs, everyone really does understand that the materials of which we are learning about, the areas that we are talking about, whether it is commercialization, whether it is ethics, whether it is grants and contracts, or the historical nature of research administration, we provide a link between those particular discussions and those texts and the textual knowledge and theory of why does this happen? This was occurring, or this policy occurred for a reason. It occurred because of there was historical precedence before that. There are things that came before that. So learning about those areas and those particular broad regulations and policies, we can link that with the work that we do today and the work that we're going to do. The how may also vary because we may be in different sectors. So to learn about theory and why that happens, but then draw that down to how does this relate to how I'm working or where I'm working, that may be very different depending on where you're coming from, depending on if you're working for a nonprofit, if you're working for a government relations or related agency, if you're working with a university or college or a hospital or a clinician or a clinical area, all of those spaces also require a different contextual knowledge of the how. How are we putting all of this into practice? Why is that important? So in graduate education, it's very critical that we are providing the theory as well as the linkage to how we can put that theory into proper practice. The next point is that graduate education helps to build confidence among early career professionals. I have seen and I have noticed that there have been a good amount of young career professionals that are entering into the space of research administration that maybe have not heard of research administration before, or have heard it from someone else, or they have seen research administration in action and they would like to participate and they want to get into the field, but they really don't know how or who to talk to or how to continue to elevate their career. So graduate education in research administration does help to build confidence among early and mid-career and seasoned professionals as well. And so some of the ways that the programs acknowledge doing this is that they can help assist with understanding diverse tasks. I'm sure some of you know when you were an early career professional that there may have been a lot that was coming at you, a lot of acronyms, a lot of policies, a lot of numbers and changes. And so being in a graduate program helps to ease and assist with understanding all of these tasks, what some of these policies may mean, the rationale behind them. It also helps to strengthen ethics, integrity, honesty in the field. It's something that I believe research administrators thrive on, being ethical with our work, providing ethical discussions and consideration with our researchers, making sure that we're all on that same page and that same page when it comes to compliance and when it comes to monitoring our activities. And it also helps to connect others in the field with networking opportunities and mentoring opportunities. I think it's extremely critical to have early career professionals in research administration have someone that they can talk to, someone that can provide them with a guide of how to navigate their career or provide them with the opportunity for mentorship and for networking opportunities. And I think that's so critical in putting that forth for our young career professionals, because that makes them feel like not only are they a part of their team, but that they have a sense of direction. And I think the more likely that we invest in a networking or in a mentorship opportunity on that scale with our young career professionals, the likely that they will continue to remain in research administration, and not only remain, but thrive and want to take on more roles and more responsibility. And all of that, again, comes with confidence, and it comes with mentorship, and it comes with feeling like you're connected outside of even yourself. So those are some of the areas that we can build confidence among early career professionals. Now, of course, for some of us who are a bit more seasoned, it also allows us, our leadership capabilities, to be strengthened in the field. And so if you are an in-career professional, again, whether you're early, mid, or a seasoned part of your career, you may be interested in some of these other areas, including holistic training. Maybe you've been working in pre-award for a while and you want to get more of a sense of post-award activity or more compliance, or maybe you're looking at a different sort of project management opportunity in space. So graduate programs like UCF and like UCF's programs can involve holistic training. So we take a little bit of everything. We want to make sure that you are well-versed in technology transfer and government regulated activities, in human resources, in evaluation. And so we take the whole and break those into parts so that you have a good sense of a little bit of everything and having knowledge of a little bit of everything, because maybe you're interested in moving to a different particular program. So it's good to have that information available. Also, there's the opportunity to examine how your particular subfield interconnects with other subfields. I think so many times we can be like this. We can have some tunnel vision and we're in the weeds because we have a job to do and we have deadlines and we must get these things done, or else the train that comes after us cannot get what they need to get done. But oftentimes if we're in that particular tunnel, or we're in that space, in that silo, we don't really see how our field interconnects with others. And so it gives you the opportunity to see how your work really is a part of the larger space. And I think that, again, that's very important when it comes to understanding how big and how just massively important research administrators are to the context of research and how research operates for the organizations that we are a part of. And the last thing is the development and promotion of individual or team research that you may have. So being in research in a graduate program in research administration allows you to also focus on the actual literature that is within our field and growing the literature and the research that is within our field. I think that because we are a profession that is growing and that is having all sorts of professional development opportunities that you will see throughout this conference and other conferences as well and other places, that it is important to take all of that information and put it into journals, to present at conferences, to present amongst your peers, to make presentations at work. And so to have that confidence, and you may have an idea or you may have a topic, going back to what I was saying about the hot topics in research administration, there may be something that piques your interest that you do want to know more about and you do want to explore more about. And your efforts and your hard work could go into developing best practices, additional rules, regulations, policies for other people, not just at your organization, but across the country and all over the globe as well. I mean, you never know what can make a difference. And the opportunity that you will have as a graduate student to really develop those ideas and present those ideas in written form or in speaking form via articles and presentations and speaking opportunities is extraordinarily critical. We're adding to the knowledge base of our field, and that is certainly something that is imperative in graduate education. And lastly, there's the promotional changes and increase in salary. So I put this last, not necessarily that it's the last thing that people think of, but it may be one of the first things that people think of. But I think that the other 5 areas are really important to the emotional connection to our field, to the desire that we have for our profession, to grow and to get even better than it was before. But of course, we know that with any sort of graduate education, there is the idea that you may be interested in promotions, in increased salary opportunities. And so there is certainly a connection between getting a graduate degree and increased opportunities for financial compensation. A graduate degree also may provide some room for position flexibility. There are people who have received degrees in research administration who may leave the field and then they come back, or they want to do something that's a little bit different that still uses the training and the information from research administration graduate programs. And also lateral moves are also included and certainly encouraged in the field. You may, again, feel like you've been working in a particular area for a long time and you just desire to make a move to another part of project management or another part of the award management. So having a graduate education gives you that flexibility to really create your own professional pathway, to create and make your own moves in that way. And so it's really important that you see the degree as an opportunity for flexibility and one that can open up a tremendous amount of doors than you've seen before. So the types of degree programs that are out there are, of course, the Master's in Research Administration, Master's in Research Compliance, Research Management, and Clinical Research and Administration, as well as graduate certificates. Here at the University of Florida, we have our Master's in Research Administration, as well as our Graduate Certificate in Research Administration. And so I'll tell you a little bit about UCF's MRA program. We started in 2011 and graduated our first class in 2013. We have had over 108 graduates to date, and we've had over 54 promotions, not counting multiple promotions. And also these are promotions that we've been able to see in our particular office and space. So there may be others that have not yet connected to us to let us know that that has happened. So there's several promotions that have occurred. There's been over 29 conference presentations and 18 publications. And I actually think that number is certainly going to grow because we have some of our students that are looking to make conference presentations and develop proposals for publication. It is a professional degree, so it's the MRA, just like an MPA or an MBA that you may see. It's completely online, so it was online before the global pandemic as well, and it will continue to remain completely online. So it gives you the flexibility. We know probably I would say about 95% of our current students work full time. So this is a community of people who understand that they're making tremendous amounts of sacrifice to go to school full time, and they're also working full time, and many have other responsibilities even outside of those two areas. And so we believe that our program is a program that is very cognizant and conscious of the fact that our students are involved in other things even outside of the educational field. And we think that that's great because that makes your education that much more enriching. And there's also we train you to be ethical research administrators as well. And I think that that is something that all of the faculty really put a button on, is the training and being a very ethical research administrator. The program curriculum we just have for the master's in research administration, it requires a minimum of 36 credit hours beyond your bachelor's degree. So that's a 2-year program, and you do go fall, spring, and summer, all semesters concurrently. So we don't have summers off, although if there was something that you needed to do or you needed some flexibility, we're certainly open to discussing that. We have a cohort-based model for those 6 semesters. So that means that you effectively come in with a group and you stay with that group. And that's great, especially related to a online program, because so many times people feel like an online program is a bit more impersonal. You don't necessarily connect with people, or it's so large that you don't know who your fellow classmate is. But our classes are pretty unique in the sense that with the cohort model, you are with traditionally the same group of people. So you're learning together, you're working together, you're asking questions together, and our cohorts are great. They ask questions from each other, even outside of the faculty, because there may be someone who is working on a particular project or is implementing a certain regulation in their offices, and they want to know, well, how does that relate, or how did you make that work? Can I make that work in my office? And so that crosstalk is invaluable. We also have the graduate certificate in research administration, which is an 18 credit hour requirement beyond your bachelor's degree. And so students tend to take 12 hours of required courses and 6 hours of elective courses. And that will typically take a student 1 year to finish. If you are interested in the graduate certificate program and then say, oh, I think I would like to maybe get the MRA, you can take the hours that you have already had for that graduate certificate, and you can just continue on the MRA if you apply and get accepted into the MRA program. So you don't lose hours. The graduate certificate individuals take the same courses that the MRA students do as well. So it's all graduate level education. The application requirements for UCF's program is as follows. A minimum GPA of 3.0, scale from each college or university you have attended, 3 letters of recommendation specifically for the MRA program, a resume or a CV, your most current professional one to be provided, a statement of goals. And if you are an international student, you have to submit your credentials or your academic transcripts by way of World Education Services or WES or Joseph Silney and Associates. Those are the only 2 credential evaluation services UCF takes. So you have to submit those, and students also have to submit to TOEFL requirements. And of course, if there's any questions regarding any of these particular areas, you may always contact me and our office, and I'll be happy to help you walk through that. And just the application deadlines for UCF for the fall is July 1. We've got summer actually that's coming up April 1st, and our spring deadlines are December 1st. And this applies to both domestic and international applicants. If you're on UCF's website, especially if you're an international student and you see something a little different, please listen to these particular deadlines because we're all online students. So international students have the same deadline requirements as domestic students. And applications do tend to be reviewed on a rolling basis. So if you're interested, please submit your application as soon as you can so that it can be reviewed on that rolling basis, and we can provide you with a response as soon as we are able to do so. So I will take questions for anyone who has any, but that does conclude my presentation. And again, I appreciate everybody's time, and I'll just sit back for any questions.
Thank you, Dr. White-Jones. We do have some questions. And first question is from Lacey, and she says, I want to pursue teaching or training within our field. Would you say that a graduate degree is necessary as a component of achieving that goal?
Yes. So yes, I would. If you would like to teach or to train, I think that graduate education is excellent because what it will do is that it will provide just, again, that deeper layer of knowledge and investment. And in the graduate space, just due to the nature of coursework and the nature of how professors, how instructors disseminate information and what they want you to take away from it, you're going to have a lot of opportunity to present, to speak, to write, and all of those qualities are what will make a teacher really, I think, impactful for their students as well. The more knowledge that you can attain of a subject, the better, and the more comfort that you feel in presenting that information, the better as well. And you can use that opportunity to just get better in your writing and in your speaking and really get that comfort level and that training opportunities. And there's a lot of it, I think, that we have in the program where we essentially stress our students to connect and to talk about their papers and to talk about their projects. And I think it's a good start to get a graduate degree if you want to teach and train, for sure.
Thank you. How does the professional degree compare to Master of Science? This is from Laura Christine Reddington.
To neuroscience, I didn't hear that one last.
How does the professional degree compare to Master of Science?
So really, they're all master's degrees. They're all going to be in that graduate level. I think that with the MS, there may be a particular capstone project at the very end of a Master of Science program, where the MRA, we don't have a particular capstone. We have a closing project. We don't have a capstone paper. We have a closing project in the course, which is usually evaluation, public program evaluation techniques. And so you would provide, your last project is to provide an evaluation of a public program using everything that you have learned in your 2 years being a part of the program. But a lot of Masters of Science have a capstone that you're taking that is specific to that particular degree. So it's a slight differences, but again, they're both master's level programs or master's level degrees and designations between an MS in science, an MBA and MPA, which is in public administration or business administration. I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of them. And also the stress for the professional degree is that because this is a program for research administration where, again, we're focused a lot on practice. So an MS may focus too on a heavy amount of theory and a heavy amount of contextual education. The professional's degrees really are focused on the what do you do portion of it, but both great options.
Okay, thank you. We've got a couple of questions that are similar, and they're discussing how for people who are working for the state of Florida are not able to use their tuition waiver benefit because of it being a market rate program. And has there been any discussion or of moving this to a regular program, or will it continue to be a market rate program?
That's a great question. And I know there may be a couple people also on this call who may know it even more than I do about what is to come. But what I will say is that as of right now, it's still going to remain a market rate program. Those decisions are above me. And so, there's a lot of consideration that will be going into, though, how we can make the costs not as prohibitive. So we're always still discussing that and wanting to look at how we can certainly be as affordable as possible, provide the value and the quality of education, and also not be as prohibitive as possible. But as of right now, it's still going to remain market rate.
Okay. And there was a comment also from Margaret Malachik that this is similar to the executive master in business that is also a market rate program. There are people here that are from outside of the state of Florida that may understand what we're talking about. So can you explain briefly what we're talking about with the market rate, just so that they know what we're speaking about?
Sure. And if there's anyone else in the chat that wants to add to this as well, please feel free to do so. But essentially, the program is designed to have one market rate or one tuition rate for both in-state and out-of-state students. So it is the exact same rate. Obviously, if it was a traditional program or a traditional rated program, then there would be differences between students who are in-state versus students who are out-of-state. And oftentimes that means that those who are out-of-state, it's a significantly larger cost to attend the programs than for those who are in-state. And so the market rate is essentially to make, as a cohort program, as I was talking about before, to make it possible for students both out of state and in-state to attend at around the same cost, kind of meeting that in the middle. There's a lot of other technical accounting type of things that if you want more information with that, you can email me and I can go over that. But that's it in a nutshell. It's just to make sure that out of state and in state tuition is the same and that both students can have that opportunity to go.
Okay. And another question we had was, are there any scholarships available?
There's, we take external scholarships. So there's, Incura has a scholarship program that some of our students have been awarded, and we have tuition reimbursement available, or we take tuition reimbursement. So some of our students do have or utilize their employer reimbursement programs. At the moment, we do not have any graduate scholarships. However, I believe UCF has travel scholarships as well in case you did, as I talked about, wanting to present your information and present any projects that you have to different conferences. There are different types of travel awards, and I believe there are other particular opportunities regarding that with graduate education, but we don't have any graduate scholarships for this program at the moment.
Okay. And I know that there are other programs in master's research administration. You mentioned the other programs. Comparatively speaking, where is UCF on the scale of cost?
We are on the cost-effective side of things. So we're one of the lowest cost programs of research administration graduate programs in the country. Our tuition rate now, I think, is about $655 and some change per credit hour. And so I'd say of like some of the major programs, we are on the lower cost side. So we have that's great because we have a tremendous value for what we are providing as a university and as a program for the cost that is asked, or for the tuition cost that is incurred by students. And so we feel that there is really no better value than UCF's program.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to a different topic, in looking at the requirements for the program, are the requirements still the same if you earned an MBA? What happens to your placement in the cohort if you need to take a semester off? So two different questions. So first, are there differences in the requirements if you've already earned an MBA?
Yes, because it would be a completely different degree. We have had some students that have come to us from other programs, other research administration programs. So they are able to take the credits that they've earned previously and apply that to their education here. And so they do not have to take some of those courses. But if you've already received an MBA, this is a brand new degree. So you'll probably have to start at the same point as all of our other new students as well. But again, it's a wonderful journey to do it. And it's something that is really deep and honed into research administration. To the second question, which was, can you take a break?
Yes, yes. Carrie, if you need to take a semester off for any reason, that might put you out of your cohort. So are you able to jump back into another cohort, or how would that work?
Yes, if you have to take a semester off for whatever reason, you may not be, but when you come back, you may be with a different cohort, but you are definitely still in a cohort and you are certainly still in the program. We have had students take off for a number of reasons and have requested time off for a number of reasons. And when they come back, they get right back into the swing of things. There are university requirements as far as how often you enroll, but that is something that myself or our advisors will let you know anyway. If you did have to come to us and hold off on a semester for whatever reason, we always just let you know of your options to not remain out consecutively for too long. Otherwise, then just your entire enrollment could be in jeopardy because, you know, it would be assumed that you're not coming back to school anyway. So if you're just planning on taking one semester off, then that's, you know, perfectly fine. And yeah, you can certainly jump back in. Just, you may not be with everybody from your cohort once you do.
Okay, and then Lacey has a follow-on question to that. And she asked, are there any options for just chipping away at the degree, taking fewer credit hours when instead of participating in the full-time cohort of taking 2 classes per semester?
We have had people that have done that. So yes, I believe that the university requires that with any graduate degree, you have to be enrolled, or you have to complete it, excuse me, within a certain time frame. So, but if you were to take 1 class at a time, or 2 classes in a semester and 1 class the next semester, you usually can finish the program within that amount of time. So we have had people that, because of circumstances, have needed to drop down, and instead of 2 classes a semester, they've had to take 1 class, or again, they've had to take that semester, take that whole semester off. So it can be done. Again, your advisor will let you know. And if you have a question, I didn't put it on here, but my email address I can put into the chat, and you can email me, and I can also put you in contact with, we have a student success coach, and she acts as our advisor for the program as well. And she will even be able to answer those questions even prior to you applying as well. So if you're saying, like, you know, I may do 1 course here, 2 courses here, 1 course is here, how would that work? Or what does the timing look like? She can definitely kind of look over our plan of study as a whole and show you what that may look like.
Okay. And Ann Carl Zenith has a couple of questions, so I'll ask the first one. Is everyone in the program already working in the field of research administration?
No, most are, but there are a few that are not. There are a few that are interested in, or that came interested from other areas like psychology. I've had some social science people, history majors as well. So no, not everybody is working in the field of research administration. Some people are fresh out of college from a completely different degree, and they were interested in research administration, but had no prior working experience in it or no prior knowledge. So the program is their first foray really into research administration. So we do have students that are not working in the field, and we do have students that are just full-time students too that are working at all.
Okay, and let's see. The second question is presuming most or all are, which we've said that most are working in the field. Where are they? Are the students working at what types of institutions, and where are they located geographically?
The majority of our students are in the Southeast. We do have a good number of students here in Florida, which is to be expected. A lot of times any school is university is going to get hometown or home state students, a good amount of them. But we do have a lot of our students are here in the Southeast, but we also have a good amount of students out west. We have some that are in California, Texas, Arizona. We've had some in the on the East Coast as well, a couple of Midwestern areas, And we have had international students as well. I think this cohort, we have 2 that are still in the program. A couple graduated this past summer and fall. And we have 2 that are international students. So they tend to really come from all over, but probably the largest geographical area would be here in the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas. That area is probably the most where a lot of our students are coming from.
Okay. And what about international students?
Yes, we do have international students. We have a great international alumni base. They are tremendously involved, honestly. Our international students are some of the more involved alums and individuals in the program. Like I said, we have 2 that are in the program now. I think both will be graduating in the spring. And we've had a lot prior to that. We're always interested in international applicants and getting a sense of what research administration is like in countries outside of the United States and really connecting that with what we do. So we welcome international students, certainly. The perspective is welcome, certainly. And I think that more will continue to come and be a part of the program.
Okay, thank you. And Nicole asks, is the MRA degree preferred over other master's degrees like the MA or the MS? She says that it was not available when she was in school, so she has a different MS degree.
I think that really depends probably on the employer, really. You know, right now, if you are looking for an education that is focused and targeted, I think that's really the difference, is that the MRA is a targeted degree. We talk about research administrative topics, and we look to broaden the field and the research and the information of research administration for research administrators. That doesn't mean that the master's degree that you have cannot be used to do everything that I just talked about. It certainly can, but if you are looking for that more honed in a specific experience with research administration, then the MRA is definitely something to check out, and that could be for you. And I do want to say that we have had people in the program in the past that have already possessed a master's degree and have taken and have gotten a MRA as well. So it's nothing to be said that because you already have an MA or MS or an MBA or an MPA that you can't also have an MRA, and that you can't find the degree impactful, particularly working in the field. Absolutely.
For the certificate program, have you found that people with other graduate degrees have come in and taken the certificate?
Yes.
The master's certificate in research?
Yes, tremendously. We have found that if you do possess, because there's a lot of times, you know, people are like, I already have a master's, I don't know if I want a second one. So, you know, I always say the option also is to, you know, enter into the graduate certificate course, because it's 1 year, you're getting that same graduate level information and coursework. And oftentimes I'll say, people will just say after that first year, I'm going to apply to the MRA, because they're pleased with what is happening in the education that they're getting and the courses that they're in. And they go ahead and apply for that MRA and just take the next year's coursework. So we do find that that happens. But yeah, I would say, you know, a baby step if you would like, or, you know, if you're unsure as well, the graduate certificate is a wonderful program.
Okay, and I have one final question. It's from Wendy, and she says, MRA versus CRA, what is the employer's point of view?
Ooh, that is a good question. I'm actually surprised that didn't come up earlier. Well, the employer's point of view, I'm sure all of you probably have your own opinion on this as well. So I'll just give you mine or my experience with it. The CRA is absolutely excellent to have in that designation. There are a number of faculty who have degrees, graduate degrees, and the CRA. There's a lot of our students that have had a CRA, that have a CRA, that also are have their MRA. I think for graduate education, again, it's just about that deeper body of knowledge. And you know, Jennifer, you can certainly answer this question as well if you'd like, because it's one that does come up often.
Well, I'll answer it then as someone that has employed research administrators. For me, the CRA shows that you're able to study the body of knowledge and take an examination and demonstrate you are proficient with knowing the body of knowledge. The MRA shows that you are dedicated to the profession, that you're willing to spend 2 or more years honing your skills to have that designation. And it's my feeling that if you have the MRA, you are putting that seal on yourself that being a research administrator is what I'm dedicating my career toward. So I think that they're, as you said, I think that they're both excellent. The best choice would be to have both. So it's just like someone with a master's degree in accounting also gets a CPA. So that's the way I look at it. They're both great to have.
Absolutely. And we do talk about the CRA in the program, particularly in the introduction class. We talk about that designation and the history of it as well. So, and again, a number of our students have either already possessed the CRA and have come into the program, or it's been the reverse where they have the MRA and then after that they study for the CRA, or they get the CRA while they're getting the MRA too. So there's really no way to slice it as far as how you can approach both, but I say, just like Jennifer, you know, get both, honestly.
Yeah.
It really covers the bases for the body of knowledge.
We have, I said that was going to be the last question, but we have one more. So I want to try to squeeze that in there. What are the salary differences for these? And if Angela, if you don't mind my answering that, I do have a paper that was published in the Journal of Research Administration. That's the SRA journal that you can go and look at. But the bottom line was people with a CRA did not necessarily get a bump in salary, but people with master's degrees did appear to have a bump in salary. This is from 2010 data. So I'm not sure if that was still true. I've got 2020 data that I have not yet analyzed. So at 10 years ago, it was true that the MRA or any master's degree, I will say, any master's degree, seemed to have a better positive impact on your pocketbook. But as far as giving you credibility, when you think about going to apply for a job, if you're working in an academic institution, the degree programs are what we sell. You know, if you want to be crass about it, I mean, we at universities sell degrees. So a degree carries a lot of weight. But that extra CRA designation shows that if you have both of them, it shows that you certainly are even more credible. So again, I think that doing both would be the best at making yourself an ideal candidate for that position you might be going after. So, okay. I'm sorry for I spoke too much about that, but
yeah, that's true.
On that paper on the SRAI website under under the General Research Administration, or I can send that out with the other meeting materials along with the PDF of this PowerPoint. Okay.
Excellent.
Well, this concludes this presentation, unless you have another thing that you'd like to add, Angela?
No, I'm just actually putting my email address in the chat box. So if anyone has any questions that they didn't get answered, or if you think of anything off the top of your head, because I know that happens too, where you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot, please email me. I would certainly love to answer any of the questions that you may have or go deeper into anything that I wasn't able to quite explore deep enough during this presentation. But again, I thank all of you for sticking with me this morning. I don't know where everybody is, but I know it's probably super early in some places. So thank you so much for that. And thank you, Jennifer, and to the rest of the FRAC committee as well for having me here. And you all have a wonderful conference and wonderful day.
Thank you. And while I'm going through our housekeeping for